Hey there everybody, John Van Whalen, back with a special twofer. I've got two WE knives manufactured, Elijah Isham designed knives. And both of these are very interesting looking knives. Isham has like a very cool kind of organic Geiger alien mech looking style, which is cool. I mean, it's nice to have different flavors out there. We don't need a million buck knives. So, and I was thinking about how I could best describe the difference between these because they're very similar in a lot of ways. But as you can see, just by the handles, they're very different as well. So they fit the hand very similarly, if not exactly the same. I mean, you can see the sweep there where your first finger would sit. Right there too. This one's a liner lock and this one's kind of like a bolster lock-ish. But they're very similar, but very different in my opinion on them. So, to kind of make a comparison, the best way I could say it is, I mean, if you guys are movie fans, maybe you'll get this. I like movies that have style, and I like movies that have, you know, some panache, some flash to it. But movies can kind of like walk a little too much into that artsy realm, and they lose me a little bit when they get there. So the best way I can describe that is this knife is your maybe overly artsy movie where maybe the plot gets a little lost in the style. I hope that makes sense to you. I mean, it's beautiful. Look at it. That's crazy. The fact that somebody agreed to produce this and knocked it out of the park with it. I mean, there's no flaws in this design that I can see. No flaws in the manufacturing. They made a lot of great choices. This being titanium, obviously carbon fiber right here. And say what you will about branding, but I think the WE logo and putting it on the pivot, it's pretty tasteful. One thing a lot of people have issue with both of these knives though, is these tiny clips. They're very tiny. Oh, Remy. Dog's retching behind me. So, this tiny clip, it's nice and like tight. The retention's good on it, but it's very shallow. You only get like that much of your pocket into it. So, I could see some people who move around a lot and maybe are a little prone to losing knives. These might not be the knives for you. But man, is that cool looking, right? I mean, just from an artistic standpoint, hell yeah, right? Very cool. And WE Knives really knocked it out of the park with the action on these guys. It's on bearings, but what a smooth knife. And if this is kind of like your a little overly artsy, eyes wide shut Kubrick movie, I'd say this is your Quentin Tarantino artsy movie. You know? It's got all the style that you need, but it's also got a cool story that's kind of fun. It doesn't lose it in the plot, you know, it doesn't lose the plot in the art, is what I mean. Has a little bit more of a traditional feel. Looks like a standard Persian in the blade shape, but it has this awesome cutout. That cutout is so good, and when you go to engage it with your middle finger, it really, your middle finger fits right into that kind of narrow portion right there. And it opens so good. One gripe outside of maybe the small clip for some people, I don't really have that issue myself, but I could see why some people might have that problem. One issue with this knife is, it's actually with both knives. I really hate this flipper. And the flipper is the same on both knives. It's kind of like a little stud looking flipper. It's just hard to get right, and especially if you, like this knife especially, since it's got this kind of bolster to it, I can't help but push a little bit on the lock bar when I'm going to use it. Like there's no comfortable spot for me to hide my fingers. I guess if I push them all the way down there, but it just doesn't feel natural. So that happens a lot to me. But if I do this, oof, perfect. I think they should have just, like, don't even worry about it. Don't make it a flipper. Don't even give people the option. Say, hey, use that hole. That's what she said. And it's got that nice WE branding on there too, which, like I said, don't mind. I've kind of mentioned, I've done other videos on WE knives before, and I've mentioned their satin finish. It's not my favorite. The kind of like lines on it are real light and fine, so it doesn't give you that nice machined looking grind. If you go back and look at my Chavez Street Ultramar video, that's really kind of like the best satin grind that I like as far as from production companies. I could look at that for hours, and it comes up great in pictures too. If you're an Instagram guy, which I am, follow me. It shows up really well, and it looks really pretty. It's interesting looking. Out of the two, I would absolutely say this is my favorite. It's more of a functional blade shape, as well as being more fun to fidget with. And it has a little more weight to it. The blade stock seems to be a little bit thicker. Let me see if I can get that for you without cutting myself. There you go. Blade stock's a little thicker, so it has a little more heft to it, and it can probably do a little more work if that's what you intend to do. But let's be real, both these are pretty much art knives, which is what Isham, that's kind of his lane. He does more of like functional beauty, which is cool. We need guys to do everything out there. You know, you need the guys who make those hard workers, and you need the guys who make the pretty knives, and you need the guys who make every shade of gray in between. I like this stonewash too on here. It's pretty aggressive, but not so crazy that it has like a weird texture. It's kind of smooth still. Sometimes like the texture of weird stonewash, it can like, I don't know, just not appealing to the hand. These both have steel inserts, which is kind of strange. Like, especially this one, because it almost looks like it should be like a frame lock. But it's got like a pretty large steel insert in there. And I know it's hard to see, but look at where that M390 is. Other companies, take note. This is how you brand knives. This is where you put all the stuff. You hide it tastefully. Look at that blade. It's pretty much sterile. But there's a collector's number right there. It's hard to see, but it's 332 out of 700. Both these knives were limited, and they sold out relatively quickly. The Eschaton seems to be the favorite as far as aftermarket secondary sales. This one you can still catch for retail on eBay and whatnot. And this one, just like the other one, perfect action. As long as you're not using that flipper. I just don't think it's needed. It's like an option that I don't feel like anybody who has this knife uses. I mean, you can get it. You can, if you train yourself to use it, I'm sure it's fine. And somebody will convince me that I'm totally wrong in that regard. But why would you when you can just go like that? And it's perfect every single time. You don't have to think about where your hand's going to be. It's just natural. Same thing with this one. Let's bring that back up. Same thing with this guy. Boop. Perfect. I think this one's flipper deployment is probably a little bit better because it has a lighter blade, and It's a liner lock with that giant steel insert in there. And once again, the branding, tasteful. M390 hidden right there. There's the collector's number on this one. This one being 66 out of 700. It's hard to get the light on there because it's kind of hidden. I mean, you're not going to find a smoother drop than these knives. And because they're using like a small steel insert, it doesn't have that nice like thunk when it opens. I know us knife boys, we like that sound. That one has a little bit of a better one because it's got more heft and it's also attached in this bolster way. This knife is really cool. I really do dig this one a lot. It rides that line, like I said. It's the Quentin Tarantino movie. You know, it's got action, the art. It's got the style, the flash, got the quotable lines. It's fun to rewatch over and over. The other one, I like it, but it's for a different reason, I feel like. It serves the purpose of being just neat. You go, oh wow, look at that. Looks like something out of the Transformer movies, the recent ones. Like when they were looking for that shard or whatever. Obviously, I like movies. This one also has like an almost unnerving lightness to it. Because there's so little tie with all these pockets in it. And then you got the carbon fiber. And like a kind of like thinner blade with all the milling and the hole in it. That it almost feels like it's air. It's like so light. And here's the one thing I wanted to show for sure. Here's another awesome choice in branding. You know, that's a cool idea. It's like a faux integral, you know, frame. Especially on this guy. It's like that solid piece right there. I mean, it's not the whole thing. But it's like, you know, that's a cool choice. Like, he designed some very, very cool knives. And they got their names on it too, so you don't forget. With like a cool little symbol, and it looks like alien writing. It's like a hieroglyph. Alright, well let's take a look at some of this packaging. And I'll just say, as far as outside of the Mass Drop collaborations, which We Knife, they do a lot of those. Their straight We Knife releases have some great packaging. I mean, this outside slip, whoop, and I love to see this. I think more things should be limited. I don't think we should coddle people that complain that, hey, I didn't get a chance to get that. Oh well, be quicker. It makes it more special. If anything, release the same design with different materials or whatever, and then, you know, make that one limited as well. Some more branding. See a little message from the CEO, Joe Chung. And this birth card, it's pretty sick. I think that's awesome. And this foil, like, that's legit. I don't know if that's an actual signature, but it'd be cool if it is. I'm no expert. You tell me. And it's got the sweet wipe rag that's kind of mandatory in all knife packaging, and then just the bag and a nice little cutout, like perfect. And this is almost like velvet in here. Like, their packaging game is pretty tight. And then when you go, you got that nice magnet latch, which I always like. And you know what, I had a hard time finding out which one I was grabbing because there's so little branding on this slip. But there it is. They're both the same, so I'm not going to show you the other one. Let's get some close views of these boys, and then I'll wrap it up. I mean, overall, these are both awesome. But the Zeta, this guy, and this is the Eschaton. I don't know if I've said that yet, so I failed you in that regard. But if you've stuck around this long, give me a like. Yeah, so this is the Eschaton, and this choiled thing too. That's a little funny. I don't know if anybody would actually grip it like that. I don't know if anybody would actually be cutting anything serious with that outside of a box or maybe a pack of fruit snacks. I mean, you can see the similarities. It's just this one looks like it got hit with like some mutant blood and started changing into an alien creature. Like this guy wandered onto an alien planet and then became this guy. Some cool views there. This one is just so pretty. This blade, I just love the little slight upsweep. I'm not really huge in a huge upsweep on Persians. I kind of like it to be a little, you know, a little more mild than that. And just like every other Wee knife, these are both very sharp. So you don't have to worry about having to sharpen it or strop it right out the box. Unless you're like a, you know, kind of an edge connoisseur. But let's take a look at this and this one more time. All right. Well, that's all I have to say about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions. John Van Walen, all one word, and take it easy.